Congratulations, you've just woken up 66 million years ago. The bad news? You're a dinosaur. The worst news? It's your last day alive. But don't worry, you won't know that. Not yet. You stretch your scaly limbs beneath a canopy of ancient ferns, blink at the warm, hazy Cretaceous sky, and let out a low growl that roughly translates to, "I need food before I murder something." Ah, nature, so peaceful, so full of things that want to eat you. You're either a lumbering 14-ton Alamosaurus, a spike-covered Ankylosaurus mom with 4 clueless babies, or a Tarbosaurus, basically the T-Rex's slightly less famous cousin who also skips leg day. You don't get to choose. You were born into this Jurassic Hunger Games, and now you have to deal with it. Your world is lush, thick with jungles, bugs the size of frisbees, and temperatures that swing between toasty sauna and Alaska in a bad mood. The continents are still figuring out where they belong. South America just got its passport. Europe and Asia are still awkwardly dating. There are no roads, no buildings, no Wi-Fi, and absolutely no therapy. Just you, your instincts, and about 3 tons of daily stress hormones pumping through your body. You shake off the night's sleep, which took place in a shallow pit you scraped out with your claws, surrounded by the lovely sounds of hissing insects, farting reptiles, and the distant roar of something bigger than you. Your stomach growls, loudly. Time to forage, hunt, or just walk around pretending you're not panicking. Maybe you'll find some fresh leaves. Maybe you'll get ambushed. Either way, it's another Tuesday in the Mesozoic. The sky seems a little off today. The birds, well, proto-birds, are quieter than usual. There's a faint shimmer on the horizon you can't explain. But you're a dinosaur. You don't do intuition. You do eating and not being eaten. Enjoy your morning. There are 5 hours left until a rock the size of Mount Everest turns your world into a barbecue pit. Let's see how much of this day you can actually survive. You're hungry. Not just skip breakfast hungry. You're eat an entire forest hungry. Because you're a dinosaur, and keeping your giant body alive is a full-time job with 0 benefits and a high risk of sudden violent termination. If you're an Alamosaurus, congrats. You're a 30-ton walking skyscraper with the appetite of a garbage truck. You need to eat around a ton of vegetation every day just to stay conscious. That's not a snack, that's a forest. You move slowly, your neck creaking like an ancient elevator as you strip trees of leaves that took years to grow. You don't even chew. You just mash and swallow, like a living paper shredder. Fiber? You're full of it. So are your massive steaming droppings, which could bury a smart car. If you're an Ankylosaurus, you're the medieval tank of the dino world. You're covered in bone armor, spikes, and you have a tail club that looks like it could break time itself. You also have 4 tiny babies following you, each one adorable and equally edible to basically everything that moves. Your idea of breakfast? Low-hanging leaves, shrubs, and maybe a fallen branch that smells less like rot than usual. You're not picky. You eat what doesn't run. Of course, if you're a predator, say, a Tarbosaurus, your breakfast needs to scream, preferably while trying to escape. You're 14 meters long, way over 5 tons, and your jaw is a nightmare factory filled with steak knife teeth. But you don't eat every day. Your meals are more like horrifying jackpots. So today, you're hunting. And everything you see either looks like a potential snack or a professional hazard. You stalk through a floodplain in what will someday become Mongolia or China, your heavy feet sinking into the mud as birds flap nervously overhead. You've got tiny arms. No, you don't want to talk about it. But those aren't for grabbing. They're for balance while your massive jaws do the work. Think of them like T-Rex-themed training wheels. You pause. Something moved. Medium-sized. Maybe an Edmontosaurus, or one of those annoying duck-billed ones that always scream for their friends. You crouch, you charge, you miss. That's the thing about being a predator. It looks cool on posters, but the reality? You fail a lot. One misstep, and your breakfast is sprinting off into the ferns while you're left panting like a giant, angry dog. No granola bar, no protein shake, just disappointment and dirt in your mouth. Meanwhile, back in North America, a Pachycephalosaurus is also out looking for breakfast. He's got a skull thicker than your smartphone's entire app history and a personality to match. Mostly herbivorous, but a little adventurous. Bugs, lizards, and possibly baby dinosaurs are on the menu today. He's walking near a lagoon, nibbling at seeds, grumbling to himself, and occasionally headbutting trees for fun. It's not smart. But when your brain is mostly bone, smart is more of a suggestion than a trait. And while he's snacking on fruit and the occasional ammonite mollusk, he senses something strange. The air pressure feels weird. The wind has that ominous silence that only happens in disaster movies and meteor impact events. But again, no one here is built to detect impending planetary doom. Everyone's too busy trying to survive each other. Elsewhere, chaos is brewing. A Carnotaurus, the sleek, horned speedster of the predator world, has wandered into the wrong neighborhood, specifically a T-Rex's neighborhood. And T-Rex? He's home, and very territorial. Now, in theory, the Carnotaurus is faster, maybe even faster than a modern cheetah over short distances. But speed means nothing if you don't see the threat in time. And unfortunately for him, the T-Rex has a sense of smell that rivals bloodhounds, and a binocular vision system that puts hawks to shame. The T-Rex sees him, smells him, charges. The fight is brutal, but quick. The Carnotaurus tries to dodge. He doesn't. The T-Rex bites down with the force of an industrial trash compactor and ends the conflict with one terrifying chomp. Breakfast is served. As the T-Rex tears into its unlucky rival, the forest shakes. Not from footfalls, but from something else. The ground feels a little off. The sky is still shimmering strangely. But again, no dinosaur is thinking, this must be a 10-kilometer-wide asteroid traveling at 20 km/h due to impact near the Gulf of Mexico. No, they're thinking, is that tree on fire? Why does the sun look closer? Why are all the birds flying in the same direction? Spoiler alert, it's not just the sun. And the birds? They're leaving because they know something you don't. Like the fact that in just a couple of hours, the atmosphere will try to cook you alive. But for now, you keep eating. Because that's what you do. Your instincts say, eat, move, survive. They don't say, duck. That giant flaming speck in the sky? That's your new breakfast problem. And it's arriving soon, with a side of apocalypse. Time check. 5 hours till everything burns. You're still out here living your best prehistoric life. Grazing, hunting, roaring into the void. You don't know that space just ordered a 10-kilometer-wide rock to crash through your sky and cancel Earth's subscription to life. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Right now, you still have time. Time to eat, time to fight, time to poop dramatically in the forest. The Alamosaurus herd is slowly moving across what will one day become the Yucatan Peninsula. 50 of them, stomping through underbrush like an army of tree trimmers. These plant-munching skyscrapers spend most of their day just looking for food and then looking for more food. It's a never-ending brunch buffet, except the salad bar is moving, and they weigh 38 tons each. You're one of them, and your biggest concern? That your tail is itchy. Not that the planet is about to be body-slammed by interstellar geology. Meanwhile, back in Asia, a Tarbosaurus is patrolling the floodplains. That's you again, by the way. Because we like to keep you emotionally attached to multiple doomed characters. You've already failed at one hunt today. But you're back at it because, well, hunger doesn't care about pride. You spot a slower, more edible dinosaur at the edge of the river. You creep forward. You pounce. Nope. It runs. You stand there, dripping mud, rethinking your entire life. Somewhere in North America, our thick-skulled friend, the Pachycephalosaurus, is still foraging near the ocean. He's now eating seeds and contemplating the philosophical mysteries of why every mollusk he eats tastes like regret. The breeze off the water is strangely warm. Not nice warm. Warm. Birds, actual proto-birds, are taking off in silent, frantic flocks. Something in their tiny peanut brains is screaming, "Leave now." But again, you're not a bird, You're a dinosaur. You don't get the memo. Farther inland, a mother ankylosaurus is lumbering through a forest with her 4 hatchlings. She's armored like a medieval nightmare and weighs about as much as an SUV. Her tail club could knock over a bus, and yet she's just trying to get the kids to eat some leaves and not get eaten themselves. It's hard being a parent in the apocalypse, especially when no one tells you it's an apocalypse. 4 hours till impact. In the sky, a tiny dot appears. You can't see it, but it's there. A rock the size of Mount Everest, glowing faintly from re-entry friction, speeding up, 20 kilometers per second. That's $45,000 Melchior's in case you're wondering. You're not, because you're still eating ferns or fighting with your siblings over a bush. 3 hours till impact. The Carnotaurus incident is still fresh. You remember it? You were watching from the bushes, trying not to be next. T-Rex took that intruder down like it was a chew toy. Brutal, efficient, extremely gross, but also impressive. The T-Rex is now gorging itself, tearing chunks of meat from bone like it's at an all-you-can-eat carnivore buffet. It doesn't know it just won its last fight. It also doesn't look up, which is a mistake, because above him, the asteroid is no longer a dot. It's a light, a burning sun-level light. And it's getting bigger by the second. 2 hours till impact. Things start to feel wrong. You're the ankylosaurus now, still in the woods. But the bugs are quiet. The birds are gone. Even the trees seem tense. Your babies, who normally squeak and stumble and knock over everything, are oddly still. If you had the capacity for abstract thought, you might say something's coming. Instead, you just grunt and keep chewing. 1 hour till impact. You're back in the shoes, or claws, of the Pachycephalosaurus. The ocean's acting strange. Tides are moving faster. The wind smells like static and ozone. Your thick skull tingles in a way that isn't just from your usual head-butt habit. You pause. Something in your lizard brain whispers, danger. But again, you're a dinosaur. Danger is just Tuesday. 30 minutes till impact. The sky is changing. The light turns gold, then orange, then wrong. Clouds scatter like they're afraid. Shadows stretch unnaturally long. You blink. You squint. You pretend it's nothing. You go back to what you were doing. But your legs are tense. Your muscles tight. 10 minutes till impact. Now everyone notices. The animals are moving, all of them. Stampedes, flocks, herds. Even the water is backing away from the shores like it saw something awful and doesn't want to be involved. The asteroid is now clearly visible. To a dinosaur, it looks like a second sun, a blazing orb screaming across the sky, trailing fire, lighting up the atmosphere. And still, you don't fully understand. You just know it's bad. Birds dive for cover. Small mammals disappear into holes. You look up. And for one fleeting moment, you see your own reflection in the blinding fire of the sky. Then you blink, and the light burns through your eyelids. Boom. You don't even hear it at first. You just feel everything around you. Air, trees, ground, bones, stop. Then comes the sound, or rather the roar, louder than volcanoes, louder than anything that's ever existed. If sound could punch you in the soul, this would be it. The asteroid has hit. A rock the size of Mount Everest has just slammed into the earth near the Yucatan Peninsula at 20 kilometers per second. That's not a typo. That's faster than bullets, faster than rockets, fast enough to make the planet bleed. The point of impact flashes hotter than the surface of the sun, not a metaphor. Actual sun-level heat. The crust of the earth folds inward like paper. A hole 180 kilometers wide opens up in less than a second. If you're nearby, you are not anymore. You didn't burn. You didn't fall. You didn't scream. You were erased. Vaporized into carbon atoms before your brain even realized the sky looked weird. Let's say you're farther away, North America, maybe Asia. Good news, you survived the first second. Bad news, you won't survive the next 900. Back in Mongolia, you, the tired old Tarbosaurus, lift your head mid-chew. You were gnawing on some unlucky lizard when the entire sky ignited. A blinding white light sears through the clouds, hotter than anything you've ever felt. Your eyes cook. Literally. You close them, but it doesn't matter. The light burns through your eyelids. Your skin starts blistering. Your scales ignite. The trees around you turn to torches. You stumble backward, roasting alive, vision gone, brain panicking. Then, stillness. For about 3 seconds. Then the shockwave arrives. It travels faster than sound, faster than thought. It rips through everything. It lifts your multi-ton body into the air like a crumpled receipt and flings you across the forest like a toy. Your bones break before you hit the ground, which is fine, because a second later, the trees collapse and land on top of you. You're done. You were one of the lucky ones. You didn't see what came next, because now comes the rain. Not water. Oh no. Chunks of superheated Earth, blasted into orbit by the impact, are now falling back. Fiery meteors the size of cars, houses, buses. They hit the ground with explosions that create more firestorms, more tsunamis, more chaos. Glass rain begins, tiny shards of molten silica falling from the sky like sandpaper made of hell. And if that didn't get you, let's check in on our Pachycephalosaurus by the ocean. He survived the flash, somehow. He was shielded by a cliff and is now standing in awe, staring at the glowing horizon. Then the ocean disappears, vanishes. The water is sucked away, stolen by the incoming shockwave and sucked toward the epicenter like the ocean just got unplugged. He stares. Then the wave comes, a 100-meter-high tsunami, 10 times taller than anything in recorded history. It crashes over the coast like a liquid mountain and wipes out everything for hundreds of miles. Your skull might be thick, but it won't save you from this. You're swallowed by the sea and dragged miles inland, smashed into trees, rocks, debris. The water carries you, spins you, buries you. You die not knowing what hit you. Back in North America, a forest catches fire instantly. Flames leap from tree to tree before you even smell the smoke. The mother ankylosaurus sees the fire too late. She tries to protect her babies, tail raised, armor shimmering, legs planted, but there's nowhere to run. The firestorm hits at hundreds of kilometers per hour. The air is no longer breathable. It's fire. They are cooked alive where they stand. A walking fortress, undone by sky fire. The Alamosaurus herd? Obliterated. They were closest to ground zero. 1 minute they're eating trees. The next, they're skeletons. Then even the skeletons are gone. Ashes blown away by winds that scream louder than any creature ever could. And then, silence. Not because everything's calm, but because nothing is left to make noise. The planet, once buzzing with chirps and roars and stampedes, has been reduced to smoldering black silence. But wait, there's more. As the asteroid drilled 20 kilometers into Earth's crust, it unleashed earthquakes unlike anything imaginable. Tectonic plates cracked, volcanoes exploded everywhere. Ash, sulfur, carbon monoxide, billions of tons of it, poured into the atmosphere. And up there, it's war. The sky is now a battlefield of burning dust, boiling gas, and darkness thick enough to smother sunlight for years. And you never stood a chance, even if you crawled into a cave, even if you survived the fire, even if you avoided the rocks, the floods, the darkness, the heat. There's still the next part, the part where the earth stays broken, where the sun disappears, where the temperature drops by 28 degrees overnight, where acid rain falls for weeks, where food stops growing, where the air is full of ash, and all you have is time. Time to starve, time to freeze, time to go extinct. Because this wasn't just an impact. This was reset. You survived the explosion, the heat wave, the shock wave, the flaming rock rain. You did it. You're alive. You know what that means? You're about to experience the slow death part. No more instant flash roasting. Now it's starvation, disease, and freezing to death under an ashy sky. Congratulations. Let's check in with what's left of the dinosaurs. A few tarbosauruses limp through burned forests, noses twitching for prey that isn't there. The air stinks of sulfur and smoke. Their once dominant roars are reduced to tired, rasping coughs. The bugs are gone. The birds are gone. The food is gone. You were built to rule. Now you're scrounging for anything that moves, including each other. The forests, charcoal, the grasslands, burnt black, the rivers, boiling or poisoned, and the sky? That's not the sky anymore. That's a blanket of death. The asteroid kicked up over 100 billion tons of dust and sulfur into the atmosphere. Ash and vapor now wrap the planet in a choking, lightless shroud. The sun's gone. It's not night or day. It's just gray, always. A permanent eclipse that no one survives. Photosynthesis doesn't exist anymore. Plants start dying first, then the plant eaters, then the meat eaters, then silence. This is known, poetically, as an impact winter. But it's less poetic and more horrifying when you're actually in it. Temperatures drop fast. 20 to 30 degrees Celsius overnight. Imagine waking up to discover that you now live in the Ice Age, but you still have a tropical body, no food, and half your face is burned. Let's go visit our Ankylosaurus mother. She's one of the few who made it through the firestorm. She's sheltering near a cliff with her last surviving hatchling. It's cold. Too cold. Her blood is sluggish. She was built for warmth, for dense forests and wet marshes. Now everything is dry, cracked, and frozen. She tries to find ferns, but the ground is coated in ash. Her baby makes a faint chirping sound. She nudges it, trying to help it stand. It doesn't. She lays beside it and doesn't move again. And still, the sky darkens more. Even thousands of kilometers from the impact site, acid rain begins to fall. The heat from the blast vaporized limestone and ocean water, creating a sulfuric brew that rains down in sizzling drips. Not enough to kill you instantly, just enough to burn your skin, ruin your water, and melt the leaves you still hope to eat. Lovely, isn't it? Let's say you're one of the smaller species. A raptor, maybe. Smart, quick, adaptable. You think, maybe I can make it. And for a while you do. You scavenge, you dig, you hide, you eat insects, the few that survived. You nest in caves. You avoid the T-Rexes as they get weaker, thinner, desperate. But eventually, even the bugs die. And you just stop waking up. Meanwhile, deep underground, something tiny does survive. A mammal. Not a noble creature, not special, not wise, just small, furry, and very, very good at hiding. It eats whatever it can. Roots, worms, rot. It breeds quickly. It adapts. It doesn't need sunlight. It doesn't need warmth. It just needs time. And now, it has all the time in the world. Because the dinosaurs, the rulers of Earth for 160 million years, are going extinct. They're not all gone yet. A few will linger for months, maybe even years. Some will vanish quietly. Others will die out in sudden fits of violence and famine. But one by one they fall. No new eggs hatch, no herds return, no forests regrow. It's not a meteor anymore. It's a mass extinction. And it doesn't happen in a day. It's a slow, grinding, miserable end. 75% of all species on Earth go extinct. Not just dinosaurs. Fish, insects, plants, mammals, pterosaurs, marine reptiles, gone. The oceans become acidic. Coral reefs die. Giant sea lizards vanish. Only the strongest or smallest survive. And eventually, the dust begins to settle. Literally. After months of ash-choked skies, a few sunbeams break through. Not that anyone's left to appreciate it. But underground, those tiny rat-like mammals keep moving, keep eating, keep breeding. And from them, one day, many millions of years later, come us, humans. But you're gone. You didn't survive because you weren't meant to survive this. You were built for dominance, not for disaster. This wasn't just a bad day. It was Earth's worst day, and you were here for all of it. You're gone. Extinct. A footnote in a mass extinction so devastating it wiped out 3/4 of everything that crawled, swam, flew, or squawked on Earth. And the Earth? She's just sitting there, burned, quiet, cold, like a house after a party that ended in an explosion. The forests are ash. The oceans are acid. The skies are choked with dust and sulfur, still dimming the sun even months after impact. But slowly, very slowly, the planet begins to breathe again. Not for you, of course. You're dead. Just bones in the dirt now. But for something else. Let's talk about the survivors. They're not big. They don't have claws or armor or teeth the size of bananas. They can't roar or crush bones or look intimidating in movie posters. They're small, furry, nocturnal, nervous, rodent-like mammals. Think, anxious meatballs with legs. While you were out there roaring and stomping and starring in nature documentaries, they were hiding in burrows, digging tunnels, living off bugs and fungus, praying no one noticed them. And now, no one's left to notice. The mighty are gone. The loud are silent. And the meek? The meek just inherited the earth. Imagine one of these scrappy survivors. Let's call her Dirt Rat number 17. She weighs maybe 300 grams. She eats worms and roots and things we don't even consider food. She's not pretty. She's not powerful. But she's warm-blooded. She reproduces quickly. She can regulate her temperature, hide from predators, and scavenge basically anything. And most importantly, she didn't die. Over generations, her descendants spread. They evolve. They diversify. They grow smarter, more adaptable. Some climb trees. Others burrow deeper. Some head back to the ocean. Some even become bats and take to the skies. And millions of years later, millions, one of those distant mammal cousins starts walking upright, using tools, building fires, painting caves. That's right. From the ashes of the worst day in Earth's history comes you, Homo sapiens, hairless apes with Wi-Fi. Your ancient ancestors survived because they were boring, underwhelming, and impossible to find during planetary disasters. You evolved because your great-great-great times infinity grandma wasn't a hero. She was a hider, a hoarder, a scrappy little survivor who looked at a burning sky and said, "No thanks, I'll stay in this hole for a few millennia." Meanwhile, you, the dinosaur, didn't even have a chance. You were designed to dominate a stable world. You didn't do climate change. You didn't do nuclear winter. You certainly didn't do shrink and adapt. You roared. You stomped. And then you burned. But hey, don't take it personally. You ruled for 160 million years. That's insane. Humans have been around for a few 100,000 at best. Recorded history? 5,000 years. Your reign makes ours look like a TikTok trend. But we remember you, every museum, every fossil, every little kid who learns the word Triceratops before they can say their own name. You're legends now, symbols of strength, mystery, and extinction. In fact, we named the event that killed you, the Cretaceous-Paleogene Extinction Event, or, for those in a hurry, the KPG event. It was the 5th mass extinction in Earth's history. There were 4 others before it. There will probably be more. And when they come, we'll see how we do. Because unlike you, we know what's coming. We can see the warning signs. We have science and satellites and really depressing climate documentaries. The question isn't whether we're smarter than the dinosaurs. It's whether we're smarter than ourselves. But let's zoom out. In the cosmic sense, extinction isn't the end. It's a reset button. It clears the board, reshuffles the deck, and lets new life try its luck. You, dear dinosaur, were the kings and queens of a very different Earth, and your downfall, tragic, fiery, brutal, was also the spark that lit a new evolutionary fuse. Without your extinction, mammals would have stayed small and scared forever. No elephants, no whales, no humans, just you, forever stomping around, arguing with volcanoes and yelling at the sky. But fate, and a very rude asteroid, had other plans. And now, your bones are scattered across the planet. Your legacy is measured in footprints turned to stone. And your final day, violent, spectacular, unforgettable, changed the world forever. So, no, you wouldn't have survived that day. No one really did. But in your extinction, you gave us the chance to exist. So thanks for that. Rest in pieces.